Well, it's Dave Blaze again, and he's in red. He's getting ready for the 4th of July, apparently.
America's 250.
Long time, but I'm saying it's a long time. It's not for a nation, actually, is it?
No, but you have to think that 250 years ago, approximately, we punched the United Kingdom in the nose and sent them back across the Atlantic. They waited a few years and then they tried to come back again. We had to punch them back in the nose and they ran across again and haven't been back since. It's a beautiful thing.
The
Wouldn't you
sound,
agree, Rodney?
the sound.
Being a an expat of the United Kingdom.
Yes, this sounds like the Donald on a bad day. Okay, we'll move on to that. Listen, we've
Yes,
got something here that is driving literally everybody around the bend worldwide, and that is the takeover of our cars. Now, it's not just the EVs, the electric vehicles, but technology has done us no favors. Remember the day when you were driving across a state on an interstate highway and you were
right.
playing rock and roll? Not that you ever played rock and roll, but just imagine. And it
Well,
was
not rock and
freedom.
roll. I would be playing Bruce Springsteen songs, but go ahead.
Well, he's a Democrat.
Oh, what? Like his
Extreme
music.
Dem he is.
You can look, whatever his political leanings are, have nothing to do with the great music that comes out of that guy. But
No,
go
but
ahead, go ahead, get on your electric vehicle thing, and then we can talk about China.
well, let's talk about electrical vehicles because people are fed up with them. Well, they're dangerous. Let's get to the nub of all this. In that you see signs, I understand, along the highway saying don't text. It's dangerous. Well, what's more dangerous than beeps and bleeps and what you're doing now? And do you want to stop for a cup of coffee? All these are signs and distractions. They're worse than your mobile phone. And you've got to think about this when you're driving. Every time
Right.
you change a lane, my goodness me, the steering wheel, well, it does in Europe, trembles. You've not indicated. That's what that means. Have you got that problem there?
All right. Let's have a little talk about electric vehicles. First of all, you have to sit back and realize that the whole advent of electric vehicles using batteries as quote unquote fuel has been generated by China because China owns about 90% of the supply chain on the rare earth minerals that supply the electric vehicles, the batteries for the electric vehicles, right? So that right there should tell everybody everything. In the United States, it was a fallacy to chase electric vehicles because we have oil. We have plenty of oil. So why in the world would we be not drilling the oil that's under our feet and yet importing batteries made with Chinese rare earth minerals is beyond me. It makes no sense whatsoever. Plus, if you want to get on the environmental thing, frankly, you still need charging stations like gas stations, and those charging stations are supplied by plants that have to burn coal in order to supply the electricity to the charging stations. So it's not like you're environmentally conscious by driving around in your electric vehicle. You're just handicapping yourself, right? So that's that end of it.
It's
Um,
not often I agree with you, but you're dead right. But globalism has taken over the world in respect of, and
all
it's
right,
not just
wait,
TV.
wait. Let me push back on this. What do you mean by globalism? What in the world does that mean?
They that rule our lives, whoever they
There are
are.
no they. There are no they.
Oh, there's
There are no
plenty.
they.
I'll
There are
give you one.
multinational, listen, there are
I will give you.
multinational corporations. There are multinational corporations, and there are billionaires that like to throw around their money for influence. That's it. This whole idea of a globalism, global cabal, and all of that is just an oversimplification of the under the bed monster that's going to come out and get you. It's nonsense.
No,
Multinational
it ain't.
corporations and billionaires that throw around their money for influence. That's what we're up against.
You've only got half the story there. I am not.
Really?
Yes, perhaps a quarter.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they're responsible for everything, but they're responsible for a lot. Let me tell you, in Great Britain, it's called the blob. Now, it's those that rule over us, and in Great Britain's case,
Who's ruling over you? Wait a minute. Who's ruling over you?
well, hang on, it's the
Well, tell
mandarin,
me.
the
Tell me,
civil
because you're
servants,
perfectly free.
the
You've got a beautiful home. You've got a great business. You're a media kingpin. Kingpin. Who's ruling over you? Tell me. Charles? Is it Charles?
we won't go down that route unless you particularly want to. That's the last
Come on,
person. You
Rodney.
see, you've
Who's
even got that
ruling over
wrong.
you?
Let me explain. The blob
Please.
is a particular name that is given or was given very recently by Boris Johnson's chief headhunter. And he had a big split up with Boris. And he got out during the COVID and said he's fed up of the blob. Now, these are your civil servants in the United Kingdom, and the same goes for many other countries, maybe including the US. Okay. Now, we've got a situation whereby the blob know what's best for us, and they will say, well, we feel you should do things this way. Illustration. Now we're talking about vehicles. Let's move over to Spain, where we are.
Right.
From last week, all cars will be pre-installed with a little device that when the law comes through, expected next year, as soon as you get in your car, you insert a mouthpiece in the hole in your dashboard and you blow into it. And if there's a bit of alcohol, the vehicle won't start.
Right.
That got any mileage in the US?
Yeah, we have that in the US for convicted people, for people that have been convicted of DUI. If
This
they've
is
been
everybody,
convicted of
Dave.
wait a minute. If they've been convicted of driving under the influence, if they've served their time and so on, even when they get out, if they go to once they get their driver's license again, their car has to be equipped with that device. And that device, if they blow into it, their car, and they have alcohol in their breath over a certain limit, their car will not start.
I understand that. That I even approve of it.
So what is the issue?
Everybody has to have this. This is overreach. This is state overreach or country overreach.
Whoa. Why is it state overreach to protect other people from you after you've had a drink or two and get behind the wheel of a 4,000-pound weapon that you're driving at 50, 60 miles per hour or kilometers per hour? Why is that state overreach?
Because it impinges on the freedom of an individual.
No, it protects the freedoms of other individuals from your actions. Right?
No, if, for instance, a police officer suspects that you're
None of you, listen, none of you quasi reverse liberals like this kind of talk.
nothing to do with that. The last person on this earth is yours truly about being an ultra liberal. I want
Well,
freedom.
you're a reverse ultra liberal. Listen, you can't have a glass or two of wine and then get behind the wheel of a car and say I'm perfectly fine to drive. You're not.
Can you have one glass of wine?
Why? If you're going out for the evening, you need to not drink. If you're
That's
getting behind the wheel of a car.
easy
If
way.
not, call a car service.
Well, no, but people like a wine, a glass of wine with their evening meal.
Yes,
And it's good for the
right.
digestion, apparently.
Well, that's marvelous. Then call a car service.
The police will observe your driving. It's easy to stop and prevent a drunken driver. You can tell.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You can tell who's driving not normally. That's what the police are there for. Then they can say, "We think you've been driving, sir." Blow into the bag.
Rodney, you know that this is a losing argument. You cannot legitimize somebody having a glass or two of wine, getting behind or a glass or two of wine plus maybe a drink at the bar before dinner, and then getting behind the wheel of a car and driving. You can That's not acceptable. I'm sorry.
No, of course it isn't. But if you just have a glass of wine,
nobody's having a glass of wine.
well, I'm sorry, we do it all the time in Spain.
Call a car service. Call a car service. That's
Not
all.
always possible.
Why not?
It depends. Friends and family, who's there, who's available to drive. But one glass of wine is not affecting you. 2 glasses of wine are.
Okay, then if you have one glass of wine, then it should be perfectly fine when you blow into the what do they call that thing?
Well, I said blow the device that's
the blower.
The blower. No. I'm trying to think actually. The last time I was, oh yes, I can remember it was in the UK when I was invited to blow in a bag. And they said, "Oh, you're clean, sir." I said, "Well, that's all right, because I don't usually drink." And in fact, I say now, I've been banned from drinking. That's for medical reasons, nothing else. So it's not me wanting.
Well, isn't the medical community infringing on your rights to drink with their restrictions because of medications?
You've hit on something there, you see.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Knocking on your door and saying, "Blow in the bag." Why?
No one's knocking on my door. If I deliberately go out to dinner and I deliberately have some drinks, then I should call a car service. Period.
Yeah, but if you're having one glass of wine, the vast majorities of countries.
Listen, no one is going out and having a glass of wine, and everybody and their brother knows that.
It works in Europe. Now, maybe it doesn't work in the States.
Let's talk about why Europeans do not like to have air conditioning in their homes.
The same reason they can not like to have a drink in their homes. I was going to say that if the police, next step, knocking on your door, we have reason to believe that you're drunk, and you will cause problems going out on the sidewalk. You may knock somebody over because you're inebriated.
Are you telling? Wait a minute. So you're telling me the police will knock on your door? You're not driving.
That's the next step.
Oh, it's not the next step. No government official is going to restrict the use of alcohol if you're not behind the wheel of a 2,500-pound weapon driving it down the block.
I think you know that in the United Kingdom, there is a new law, relatively 2 years old, that if you close your eyes within 300 yards of an abortion clinic, you're seen to be praying. That is not allowed. Now, that's where the United Kingdom are.
You're going to have to show me some evidence of that.
I can show you. We've done so many interviews that are on our channels with people that have been caught closing their eyes. Now, that's your next step for government overreach. We're for freedom, not for repression.
You're telling me that in the United Kingdom, 300 yards away, that's 3 football fields away,
Yes,
you're not allowed to pray about what's going on at the abortion clinic.
because you're intimidating the ladies going in there.
Nobody would know that 300 yards away.
It includes.
Who are you listening? Let me ask you a question. Are you on? You must be on X.com a lot to come up with these theories.
This is not a theory. It is a truth. Let me tell you something else.
Nobody is arresting you for being three football fields away praying for anything.
You can be in your own house and legally, I know it's stupid, legally under the law, you can be banged to rights. This is what happens when you get overreach, and that's what I'm afraid of. You've got to have some give and take. The government would have you living forever. I've got a friend, and everybody, well, just more than one actually, but I've got a friend whose favorite saying is when his friends leave him and say, as is quite common in the UK, take care. And he says, no, take chances. Now, that is the difference. Have a think about that.
Let's talk. I know this will be a funny little diversion for the video, but let's talk about that phrase, take care. Like when you break up with a girlfriend or you break up with a boyfriend or whatever it is, and you say, okay, take care. Take care. What do you mean? Yeah, take care because I'm not going to be taking care of you anymore. So take care. Well, you don't want to say take care. You don't want to say take care. What you want to say is get lost.
No. This has come to blame America, blame New York Police Department. That was the film and the series as well. It's tough out there. Take care. It's all part of it. Look after yourself. That's normal, surely.
Look, we live in a society. All right. And everybody is very high on protecting individual rights. Okay. But in a society, if your actions affect others negatively, then those actions have to be curtailed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. All right. And I know that we want to be able to do whatever we want to do. And so you can't. If you're living in a society, that's not the case because your actions affect somebody else. And that other person might not like it. So that's why we have government to regulate these things. Now, you know that. We need to focus on how the United Kingdom, Europe, and the United States combined have all the wealth of the world. Forget about China. Forget about China. China's so far down on the totem pole that you can't even see them. So the thing is, there should not be any poor in any of our nations. And the fact that we have poor and underprivileged, that's a problem. That's the problem that we need to look at. Why there are people that can't make it in our societies when we have all the wealth. That's what you want to look at. Not this other stuff. Oh, they're infringing on my privacy. That's nonsense. Why can't you feed your kids? Why don't you have food in your refrigerator and your cabinets to feed your family? That's the problem. Wouldn't you agree?
Insofar as it goes, but we've got to look back at the car experience. And I'll give you another example. We
Okay.
have got a hybrid vehicle because you can't even drive into any town or city in España without having lots of paperwork, lots of badges on your vehicle, and they make you have at least a hybrid car, which
Okay.
costs a darn sight more than an ordinary gas car. Now, if you're driving in, there are certain zones in that city that if you're spotted without your correct label on, you'll be fined instantly. We're not talking.
Okay. Rodney. Do you see how up against the argument that I just presented about the poor and the underprivileged and low-income families not being able to feed themselves, you see how silly all this other stuff sounds? It sounds silly. People aren't able to feed themselves. They're homeless. We have all the wealth. Between the United States and Europe, we have all the wealth. Why are there still people in our society that are homeless and can't feed themselves? That's the abomination. If you had the three major food suppliers who even make canned goods, instead of disposing of their overages donated to food banks, we could end hunger in a day. But it doesn't happen. Instead, we're focused on this silliness of electric vehicles and why can't I drink and drive and stuff. It makes no sense. You have people hurting. There shouldn't be people hurting when we have all the money.
It is illustrative of very important things, and that is freedom. Nobody's disagreeing with helping the poor, but we're talking apples and pears here. Give you
Right.
another illustration.
All right. Give me another illustration.
Right.
I hope your viewers leave us some good comments on this
Sure they
because
will.
we'd love to hear what everybody thinks. And I know what I'm saying isn't all the rage amongst the right or the far right, certainly not. But these are common sense things. People out there, listen, there are people out there that can't feed their families that the media has convinced they should be focused on like silly topics that don't affect them. All I'm saying is that we got to get the basics right. Let's get the basics right. Then we can work. Then we can jerk around with other topics. We got to get the basics right for humanity. Okay, I'm done.
I doubt that for 1 minute. Having said that, going back to the pleasures of driving with the modern car.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do they have the same blow-in thing if you're high on marijuana? Or is this just discrimination against wine and alcohol?
Any drug, including the so-called soft drugs of marijuana, are devastatingly bad for you at many levels. But what I was going to say is you got a situation, for instance, when you can't open your car door anymore because the sensors are there on the wing mirror usually, and they sense if there's a cyclist going to pass your door. And yeah, well, it takes all the fun out of it. A lot of people get a lot of pleasure knocking over cyclists. They shouldn't be on the road. They pay no tax. They cause havoc. They slow me down. I like to open my car door so that they will be.
Sure. As a matter of fact, not only open up your car doors, just speed up a little bit and tap their back wheel so they fall off into the
Yeah,
neighbor's lawn.
stick something through the spokes. Yeah, that's another object. So I'm saying all the joy is taken out, and it's dangerous. Give you an example. On a lot of these EVs and semi-EVs, you've got a small conventional car battery,
Right.
tiny. Everything goes small. And if
Okay.
you get into said car and the battery is flat without any warning, and it's 40 degrees Celsius, which is about 100 and whatever it is Fahrenheit, it gets to 40 degrees centigrade in a lot of Spain, usually
Okay.
inland. We're slightly inland in the Sierras, and it often gets to 40 plus.
All right. So you're going to tell me that the electric vehicles blow up?
No, having shut the door into the electric vehicle and relying on the small battery to get the car started, if it fails, you try and get out, it locks you in. And we've
Well,
had that
now
experience.
okay, I'm sure that can be fixed.
I suppose it can, but it's an illustration of overreach and things go wrong.
Well, no, okay, all right. The other problem with electric vehicles, and this is something that you didn't touch on, is electric vehicles are there and they're being constructed and sold because they are data collection devices, right? That's all that's why we have the advent of electric vehicles. Has nothing to do with getting around or the environment or anything else. They are data collection devices, like
Who's the
your mobile
conspiracy
phone.
artist now?
No, it's not conspiracy. This is what they are. It's just like you carry around your tracking device that you call a mobile phone, right? Now you're driving around in your traffic tracking device. That's all it is. It's an electric vehicle, yeah, loaded up with computers and all sorts of. I mean, you're driving around in your laptop.
What this all means is that the state don't want you to die at this moment, so they impinge on your freedom. Don't take chances. You can't do that. We don't want you to die until they want to euthanize you. There is a point
Who is
in the
this
United.
they?
Hang on,
Who
let
is
me
this
finish.
they that are
In the
because you
United.
keep throwing around they and they don't want you and our overlords and those our masters. What in the world are you talking about?
I'm talking about euthanasia bills that have gone through in Canada, in the Netherlands, Holland, and in the
We
United
can't
Kingdom.
account. Listen, we cannot account for Canada. We don't know what in the world's going up there in the frozen tundra, except that Toronto puts out some nice television series. Outside of that, we don't know what goes on in Canada.
Well, perhaps Trump will get his way and you can take over Canada and influence
That's right.
that.
That's what we're hoping for. And we hope that we can move Hollywood up to Toronto.
Basically, the state controls everything. It's all part of what's happening. And people say, dare I say, like you, oh no, you're imagining things. No, it is happening. It's happening in our schools where the kids in early years are taught. For example, at the moment, there's a bill going through the United Kingdom whereby they will be entreated, encouraged to experiment sexually, even from age 8.
You have a bill? You have a government bill that's going to be passed by Parliament that talks about having young children sexually experiment in school?
Yes, and it's been happening in Scotland for many years.
I don't. It's been happening where?
Scotland.
In Scotland. Well,
Ask Mr. Trump.
like Canada, we cannot account for what Scotland does.
It's spreading and getting younger ages when they're encouraged to experiment with sex. It is going on. Who's behind it? LGBT. They're a powerful Trojan horse. And they are in the States. It's not just the United Kingdom and the rest of Europe. Our kids are experiencing both online and offline stuff that will change their lives.
Okay, so how is this happening? Who is creating these bills?
The progressives, if you want a name
The
for
progressives, the progressives that are that. Now, hold on a minute. Are these the progressives that the United Kingdom people voted into office?
Not necessarily. There's
What do you mean, not necessarily? How'd they get into office? How'd they get into power?
how did they get into power? Well, they are brainwashed in our universities and schools. They
How did
come
they
out
get
with,
into
and
power in the government?
they are voted in.
They're
If
right,
you
they're
look at the
voted in.
Labour Party,
So vote them out.
yes, that's easier said than done.
Well,
Because
why is that?
quite simply, Dave, especially in Spain and the UK, once you've voted for left wing or right wing, wow, especially left wing, you stay with that hell or high water. You don't come out of your thinking until eventually, I suppose.
Our over here in New York, we had Mamdani win the mayoral's race. That's in New York City. And then several other socialists also won their races. And people like, oh, New York City's turning social. Here's the problem. For decades, New York City residents had property taxes go up extraordinarily, had all the cost of living rose extraordinarily with no additional benefit of services. Okay? So now these people walk in and go, we're going to give it to you. We're going to cut everything. We're going to give it to you for free. It's going to be much, much better and everything. So the people were like, you know what? These schmucks over here didn't do anything for us. So let's give these guys a chance. That's what happens. It's not like the socialists are taking over. Why didn't the other politicians do the right thing for decades? They didn't. So now these other guys are in. That's what happens.
That pond called the Atlantic is very, it's a big barrier.
Yes.
And there's a whole different way of thinking, which is good. Why should we be all the same? But we've run out of time. There's one last question I've got for you.
All right. What do you got?
What you going to do on the 4th of July?
I am going to watch the celebration that's going on in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., and enjoy the fireworks and so forth while I stay at home and sip a glass of wine.
My goodness me. Well, your weather forecast.
How's that sound?
Confusing. Your weather forecast for DC is almost as hot as Spain, where we are now. So that's going to be interesting for the president to celebrate.
Yes, yes. It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. As a matter of fact, we've got our book out, George Magazine's America's 250th, and that's selling like hotcakes. There's only 1,776 available, and they're going like crazy. And Rodney, I love doing the show. You have been for 20 years, one of the greatest sparring partners I've ever had.
He's he's still not going to get a pay rise, but it's been the greatest of pleasure. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this, so I won't. And we will see you.
So I won't. It's great.
We will see you shortly.